Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of I'm Not a Fan Unless I Have a Podcast. I'm John Hanford, and in this episode, we've got our first Australian guest calling in from Australia. It was noon her time, 7 p.m. Pacific, where I'm at in California. And I'm just so thrilled that we were able to, that I was able to get an Australian person on this podcast. I don't know. It seems as though the Facebook page, the Facebook fan page, has mostly American fans. At least that's what I've sort of. That's what my impression's been. Anyway, Rach from Melbourne was she was the first Australian to hit me up and asked to be on the pod. And so I was really stoked, and we just had an amazing conversation. We went on all sorts of different journeys and tangents and different ramblings that were non sequiturs and didn't go anywhere, and that's okay. It was fun nonetheless. That's what podcasts are all about. There were points during the pod where she'd finish something and then get a little self-conscious, and I'm just like, no, don't even worry about it. This is the reason we have podcasts is that overproduced and scripted radio and TV is boring. It's not authentic. This is where the nitty-gritty happens, and that's what we all live for. We're King Gizzard fans. What the fuck are we? Perfectionists? Hell no. We gotta be, improvising, just constantly powering through and finding our way through sentences so that we finish them in a way that's conclusive, no matter whether we even knew where we were going from the time we started the sentence. But now that we've reached the end of the sentence, we have achieved the goal. See, just like that. So that's what podcasts are all about. And so if anybody was feeling, hesitant to hit me up about being on the podcast, please don't be. This is a place for everybody. And I want to hear as many different perspectives from within the King Gizzard fan community as I can. It enriches my experience as a fan of the band. So I wouldn't be surprised if it did the same for you, or if not for you, many other people that are listening. So this is that's how the intro to this podcast episode goes. Here's the music. Hey, Rach, how's it going?
I'm good, John. How are you?
I'm
Can
doing
you
I'm doing pretty well. We got Rach from Melbourne, Australia. How is that?
Yeah, it's good. It's cold here. Not sure about you guys, but it's I don't know. It's weird in isolation, of course.
Yeah,
But
well, I mean, I was just asking about the accent that I did, but
oh, I didn't even notice. There you go. I think we all get used to our accents a bit.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Yeah, I've lived in a few different places with different accents and everything, but yeah, I grew up in Seattle where there basically are no accents. So that made living in New York and Georgia, like deep South, and everything. It made it different, for sure. But
Right, yeah. I can imagine.
yeah, no, but Australians are like some of my favorite people, just generally. Like when I meet an Australian person, it's a good time. So yeah,
Have you met
I
many Australians before?
yeah, I've met I've met a few in a few for different places that I've lived. Most recently, so I live in Southern California, out in the desert, and we had these Australian guys from Melbourne, that they got married in Vegas, and then decided to do like a honeymoon with all their friends.
Oh wow,
So yeah, so
that's
I met
crazy.
yeah, I met them at this bar where I was playing an open mic, and I was wearing an Amel and the Sniffers t-shirt, and one of the guys came up to me and was like, "Oh, nice shot, mate." And so then we just became friends, and they bought me beer, and it was great.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, so you're
Yeah.
a fan of Amel and the Sniffers.
Yeah, well, because I saw them open for Giz in 2018 when I saw them for the first time, and I was just hooked immediately. Like they were,
Really? That's
oh
so
yeah.
funny. Because
I
they're
mean,
very quintessentially Australian. Like,
oh
they're
yeah, no,
very, I don't know if you know what bogan means, but they're very bogan. Um,
oh
but I love
man.
them.
Okay, so what does bogan mean?
Bogan is like, I guess it's kind of your equivalent of like a redneck.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Oh yeah,
think,
no, they seem so deliciously. So you guys call it bogan? That's cool. We call it white trash.
yeah, that's what it is. It's white trash, but it's like it's not a classy white trash. It's like a yeah, I don't know the word for it, but
Oh no,
yeah.
no, there is no such thing as classy white trash. I
Oh,
think
that's so funny.
if anything, I think bogan is probably classy white trash just because it makes you sound cultured. But
Oh, really? It's
oh
it's
yeah,
the complete opposite here. It's like, the people who wear like the cut off singlets and drink beers at like 10 in the morning and
yeah.
that kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, I guess like here our only frame of reference to that would be like a Foster's beer commercial, which I don't even know if you guys even have Foster's, but it's marketed in America as though that's like the number one beer in Australia.
That's I've heard that, and yeah, I've never had a Foster's. Like my go-to drink is a beer, and like I've tried everything else, but we really don't have Foster's here. It's
Yeah,
very much a stereotype.
yeah. So it was funny when I went to hang out with these Australians. They were just staying at an Airbnb, and they had me over for brunch, and they were all drinking Fosters, and I was just like, "Oh, you guys are really Australian, huh?" And it was like, "No, no, we just we're in the States, so we figured we should."
Oh, that's great. So they even invited you over for brunch. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, well it was because I offered to give them a ride to to Palm Springs, which is like 45 minutes away, but I had to make some errands anyway, so I figured get to take a little road trip and get to know these guys better. Um,
That's cool. That's very kind of you.
oh yeah, and it was I mean I was definitely angling because then after I dropped them off, they said, yeah, anytime you're in Melbourne, hit us up and and we'll give you a free place to stay and hook you up with all the free shit. So
That's the beauty of traveling though, isn't it? You meet people and then you reconnect when, like, for example, you're on the other side of the world, um and you pick up where you left off pretty much, even if you've only met them once or twice. It's
yeah.
like it's like you have those connections, you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. I've been lucky that I've been able to travel as much as I have, which really hasn't even been that much. Like I've been to Europe twice, and like I've only spent a month abroad, combined. Um, but yeah, there are a bunch of people that I've met or that I met when I was out there, who I still keep in touch with, and I've met up with them a bunch or like a few times since. Um, but yeah, we always pick up right where we left off. But like, I don't think enough Americans get to do that kind of travel, which is really too bad.
Yeah, it is a shame, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
because
yeah.
Because Australians, what I like about you guys is you travel like it's nothing, but then you just show up everywhere broke and don't care. It's great.
Oh my gosh, that is so true.
love
I've never thought of it that way. Do people on the rest of the world not do that? Yeah, that's so true.
No, because
Oh,
we have to save up for healthcare whenever we have an
oh
emergency.
yeah, that's a disaster, isn't it? That's a whole different kettle of fish.
Oh, totally. but
That's
but
it.
yeah,
Oh yeah, no, what were you gonna say?
no, I wasn't gonna say anything.
Oh, I was just gonna
What
say
you got?
I'm quite daunted being on a podcast because you might notice I'm a bit awkward. I'm stuttering a bit because I'm just like I've never recorded anything in my life. I don't think I'm literally using my brother's gaming headset. Um,
Well, it sounds good.
oh, good. I'm glad. Because I couldn't find my headphones. And the only other pair I had near me was just this crappy pair of supermarket just earbuds, which I
Yeah.
thought, oh, that's going to be too crap for the podcast. But yeah, I've never done anything like this before, so it's cool to have this opportunity. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, thank you so much for coming on. It's so you are the first Australian guest, and I was just so excited because I knew at some point I would be able to interview somebody from Australia. You know, I don't even know. This isn't an interview. This is a conversation. But but yeah. But I was so surprised that you reached out so quickly, and I was like, hey, we're not even 10 episodes in, and I get. And I get to have an Australian.
Well, I'm
Um,
honestly surprised you haven't come across more Australians yet, because King Gear's Australian band. I always
yeah.
because there's a big live music scene here in Melbourne,
Mhm.
and I always think I always see Gears as sort of like an Aussie band, but then I remember, like, obviously from the King Gears fan page, which you're obviously a part of because that's where
Yeah.
we came across, where I contacted you through, I guess.
Hmm.
But I always get surprised at how popular Gears is overseas. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, they're still pretty underground in the States, but I mean, they're rising pretty quickly. Like last summer, they did a ton of marketing with Infest the Rat's Nest, so it kind of
They
got
did
them on the
so
map.
many shows, didn't they?
Yeah, I went to 3 of them last year.
Wow, that's
I've
crazy.
seen yeah I've seen them 5 times in total. So when did you first get into them or hear about them?
So it would have been, let me think. It would have been, so I would have been either late 2016 or early 2017. Because my first sort of memory of Giz was like hearing them. We have a radio station here called Triple J, and they're sort of like the indie radio station, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And I'd always hear, oh, that's, I'd hear King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. I think, oh, that's a cool name for a band, but maybe I have to get into them. And then I heard some of their songs, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's pretty catchy. That's it's a different vibe to what I normally listen to, I suppose, or to what you hear normally on even any radio station.
Yeah,
Um,
what had you been listening to before then?
a lot of stuff, but it's hard to pinpoint like exactly one thing. But a lot of everything from indie pop to garage rock to I guess sort of stuff at the time. It was like sort of stuff that's I guess maybe easier to listen to.
Hmm.
I don't know, hard to like explain, but yeah,
Okay.
I guess that was what was on my plate at the time. Um, and I thought, oh, okay, yeah, I'll. So I occasionally go on like road trips or have to drive long places, and I put on like full albums. Um, sorry, I'm umming and ahhing a lot, aren't I? I
No,
should try.
no,
I
no.
should try and rein that in.
No. Just hang on 1 second, Rachel. Like you're doing great. Like like you keep stuttering and like saying you're awkward and stuff, and like you're going to convince me that you're my soulmate. If you hear the rest of this podcast, those are so my traits.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, you're in good company here. Please feel comfortable. And
Yeah.
I hope I didn't make things weird with the soulmate thing.
No, it's fine. It's it's just a conversation.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Right. So I'm just
road trips, full albums.
Right. So I just go on my Spotify, I chuck on a few albums on queue, and I just listen to them. And the thing about driving is, you can't change your song while you're driving, so you're forced to listen to them. So I remember I was going on like sort of a 2-hour road trip, and I queued Nonagon Infinity, and I thought, okay, this is my chance to sort of just get into them, listen to them. Here we go. And then so I listened to it, and I thought, okay, cool. Like, and this is what I tend to do with a lot of things you'll hear. So, and then I was like, oh yeah, cool. I like it. Let's keep listening to it. And then, it got to the point where I was listening to them so often, and I wasn't really thinking much of it. And then suddenly, oh yeah, they're like my new favorite band. And it's just kind of like by osmosis almost that I start enjoying these bands, because I've just started listening to them so much. They can become like a regular on my rotation. And that was the point where their popularity was like really ramping up like exponentially. And that was also the year, I believe, that they released like 5 or 6 albums.
2017 they released 5.
That was it. So it would have been just when that was coming up. And then I remember shortly after I'd listened to Nonagon Infinity, that was when Flying Microtonal Banana came out. And then I was like, okay, cool, like more new material from them to listen to. And then, you kind of go into the rabbit hole of listening to their older stuff, and then they were releasing so much new stuff as well. And then, of course, I saw them live, and then I was sucked in even more. And so it was just sort of ramping up from there.
Yeah,
I hope that story kind of made sense. It was very off the cuff, but yeah.
Oh God, yeah, you're doing great. Like you seem like you've done something recorded before, or maybe you're just a good conversationalist. Give yourself more credit.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, but it's so funny how you talk about how, like, before you knew it, like it was a subconscious thing that they became your favorite band.
That's it, subconscious. That is like the exact way I would describe it.
Yeah, but I did like your verbiage of by osmosis. I thought that was so cool. But I really like that, because that's basically how I decided that they were my favorite band. Like I'd gotten into them a little bit, and I was just kind of going. Like, basically, I started with Polygon Dwanaland.
Oh, beautiful! Great one to start with.
Yeah, well, because that came out a week or two before I first heard of them.
Crazy.
So so then I started listening to that, and I was like, okay, this is weird. It sounds interesting, and like I thought these guys kind of sound like a little bit of Tool mixed with Jethro Tull, with like maybe the vocalist from System of a Down, just with how all over the place and just sort of silly Stu would get with his voice.
Yeah, that's it. And it's funny you say that was your first one that you listened to, because that's the one. Polygon Dwanaland is the album that I always recommend to people when I say, okay, start with Gears, start with Polygon Dwanaland.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like Crumbling Castle really hooks you. It's not too hard to listen to compared to something like even anything on Flying Microtonal Banana.
Oh yeah, that one, Flying Microtonal Banana is a real that's an experience.
It is. It is.
Yeah. Like it's otherworldly. Because like when anybody, if somebody's asking me for just like, hey, what should I start with King Giz, I always tell them Gumboot, just because that's so diverse, and there's probably something on there that they'll feel inclined to check out further.
I like that, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, I think, but that's cool that you recommend Polygon Dwanaland, because I think that sort of like that shows that you have a lot of faith in other people. Because prog rock is not for everybody,
That's true. Maybe it's maybe it is because it's one of my favorites as well.
Yeah.
And I think it
Yeah,
highlights their strong just musical talent in general.
yeah. Well, I mean, it just sounds so insane because they have all the different time signatures and they're playing different rhythms over each other. So it's uh, I mean, God, it's so hard to keep track of. Like if you're actually trying to play it yourself or teach it to yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
That's true. It gets you a bit off kilter at times as well, I guess, if you're just freshly listening to it.
oh
With
yeah.
all the confusing time
Oh,
signatures.
oh, I was so confused by it. Because I was just like, these guys sound like maniacs, but at the same time, it's like everything is cohesive and these are interesting lyrics. Like I was confused more than anything, I think, when I first heard it. And then I was like, okay, well, what do these guys look like when they play live? And then, I pull up a show that they did. It was live at Webster Hall in New York City about a year before, and I was like, oh shit, I missed them. But they opened with Open Water, and I was just like, oh, okay, I think I get this now. Like these guys they're so experimental and they don't care. They make it work. And then I was just like, I just kept getting even more enamored with them and trying to understand them and get inside their head.
That's it. I think that happens to a lot of people as well. It's sort of like a whirlpool, and then the more you learn about them, you go, "Oh, there's two drummers. There's 10 people in the band." It's sort of just
Yeah.
like it's sort of their intriguing nature that almost pulls people in, I think.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
yeah.
especially when they play live.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and they've become a real staple at Australian music festivals lately. I think the
Mm-hmm.
last time I saw them was at a festival called Laneway, which
Mm-hmm.
used to, as you can tell by the name, it used to be held in Laneway, but now it's all over Australia, so they all tour together, but it's at different, just like festival grounds now. Um,
Uh-huh.
and I remember because they were playing at about maybe like later in the day, like the evening. And I remember everyone
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Oh my gosh, are you going to see King Gizzard?" Like it was sort of like a thing, and it became like, because you go to music festivals and you just chat to these random people, and then people go like, "Oh, which band are you most excited for?" And I'm like, "Well, I love King Giz." And then a lot of the people are new to the music scene. They're like, "Wow, I've never seen them before." And then I guess that's another thing that hooks people as well. But they've become sort of like this, like I don't know how to, yeah, as I said, a staple, but also like a I guess more something more diverse for the festivals as
Yeah.
well. In terms of music, you're getting all these like pop acts as the headliners, and these bands that are sort of like classically Australian. The garage rock in particular is something that
Yeah.
every single festival will have like one or two garage rock acts. And then you get King Giz, and it's just like people. There was a massive crowd as well. Like there's like this swarm of people, and they're kind of standing there, and they don't know what they're listening to, but they're kind of liking it at that stage in the day. Like, yeah, I don't know. That was just
Yeah.
a random train of thought, but yeah.
Oh, I mean, I encourage you to listen to this podcast when it comes out. It's like I've been recording all these conversations and episodes and everything. Pretty much what will turn out to be weeks and months in advance. And so I'm going to start releasing them, two per week, starting on May 5th, and then just Tuesdays and
Oh,
Thursdays.
great! I'm really
Um,
looking forward to
but
it.
but yeah, no, this is so much fun. I think like now that I'm getting a little more seasoned in this, and feeling out what this podcast is actually becoming, and just sort of what everybody should, I guess, take away from it. It's really fascinating to hear like everybody that I've talked with just get really into like their own thoughts regarding King Giz and everything else that's related. It's a lot of trains of thought that might not go anywhere, but it's a lot of fun. It's just a hang, like if you're at a bar or something, and we're in quarantine, so it
That's
works.
sick. Yeah, I love that. I love that. I'll definitely be downloading it when it comes out. 2 days from now, actually. Oh gosh, I shouldn't
Yeah,
say dates because you're going to release this in advance.
Yeah,
Feel
no,
free
it's
to cut
okay.
this part out.
No. It's fine. I don't mind getting behind the scenes and going inside baseball here. It's good.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, bit of fourth wall breaking almost.
Yeah, well, I mean, King Gizzard does it. Like, who would I be as a fan to say no? You can't break the fourth wall. Like, it's like,
I love that. So have
yeah,
you?
it's like break the fourth wall, you get the fourth color, right? All
That's so
right,
cool.
I'm
No, I
done.
like that.
Yeah. So, what were you gonna say?
Have you recorded many podcasts like other than this fan podcast?
Yeah. So I have. I'm not sure if I understood the question. Are you asking if I've done other
Not
podcasts?
so much like episodes of this podcast, but other podcasts in general.
Oh yeah. Like so, in addition to this, I also have my personal podcast called Desert Talk with John Hanford, and that's one that I usually do solo. So it's just me rambling for anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour, and and I just do like I'll have a few talking points, and then the rest is just totally stream of consciousness. Um, and like I find that that's good, just like because I can't afford therapy, but also like when we have regular society and everything, I'm a stand-up comedian, and I find that podcasts are really effective in helping me unpack thoughts and also spawn new thoughts that I could then potentially work into a comedy act. Um, so it's yeah. So I've been podcasting for about 7, 8 months.
That's cool. I like that. You're a stand-up comedian. That's sick. I can tell.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So I'm also a musician. So this is like I'm not too phased by this whole pandemic because I'm not writing as many jokes, but now I'm just writing music again, so that's fun.
That's cool.
Um,
Yeah, how has it affected your ability to perform shows? Did that?
oh yeah, I
Obviously it
mean
has,
like
yeah.
yeah, nothing's open. Like pretty much the only comedy that there is now is just people making their these little Instagram skits, and which are funny and everything, but it's not the same thing as stand up. Um, so I've been focusing more on music and just um, and just like walking around nature and taking photos and shit like that.
That's great. Yeah, you're exploring your like creative side in a different way almost.
Oh, completely. And I live in Joshua Tree, California, which is just like a absolutely beautiful, really peaceful place. Um, so it's just a good place to create. But so what do you do?
I'm a software engineer. Yeah, at the moment I'm studying, so I've got my final year back at uni. And then, but yeah, I'm a software engineer by trade. So, um, yeah, I don't know what else to say
That
about that.
that is so no that well I got something to follow that up. I mean, I think as far as software engineers go, like you've got to be in the 99th percentile of in terms of social skills. Like
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
oh you're I mean, well, based on this call, you're I mean way more social than any engineers that I've ever worked with. Like before I decided to go into creative stuff full time, I used to work as an app
Oh, you
producer.
didn't? No
So
way.
yeah, so I would be just making content and everything, but also engaging with engineers and product managers and just people who um, aren't like they think they're making complete sense, but they don't remember to translate for the people that don't quite get it.
Oh,
So that's what.
I know exactly what you mean because at uni you
Yep.
get teachers like that, and I'm like, how am I going to pass this subject if my it sounds like my lecturer is speaking a different language, you know? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, they just can't
Yeah.
they can't dumb it down for me enough, or for us regular folk enough, I guess.
Yeah. So, so how many times have you seen King Giz?
Oh, it would have been a dozen or more now. Yeah. I just,
Oh my
I
god.
saw them so much. I saw them so second half of last year, I was living in Malaysia, but first half, I would have seen them like, I saw them 2 nights in a row actually, um, because it was so cool. They did a secret show at this like tiny little venue in Melbourne as well. This like
Hmm.
small bar, small band room called, okay, I forgot the name now. I'll double check it. I think it's the I'll remember it in a second. But they were like, hey, they put on their Instagram, they were like, hey, we're doing the tiny little show in Melbourne tonight, first in best dress, it'll be $10 on the door or something, and yeah, come along if you can. So I saw this. I was on my lunch break at work, at my software engineering job at the time, and
Hmm.
I texted like my friends who all love Giz, and I was like, surely we're going. And then so me and my two of us ended up going down. I went straight after work because we wanted a spot. We waited for probably 2 hours to get our ticket, which was crazy. But we had a drink, we had a chat to people at the time. In the meantime, and then we went down, and it was such a sick show because it was so small and we had the best view, and yeah, it was so much fun. And then we had tickets to see them the next night at their like actual planned show at a bigger venue, and it was just like, this was just before their latest, not their latest album, but the Mars for the Rich album. I'm very bad with Melbourne
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
album names, sorry. um
yeah. In
Infest Erasmus,
Rasmus.
thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
I just
yeah.
had to double check it. um and then
Yeah.
we saw them at the massive concert the next night, and it was so sick seeing them. Yeah, it was just like
Oh
awesome.
God.
I was very wrecked at work the next day, though, I must say.
Oh God, that's worth it. I mean,
It was so worth it.
oh my God, I'm so envious. I mean, just in general, I felt for a while that Australia is a place that I should just be living in, but but it's cool that I get to live vicariously through you. Even if it's just for like a half hour or so on a podcast.
There you go. Yeah, definitely come to Melbourne. You'd love
Yeah.
it. Like, there's a massive art scene, and like definitely like if you're, yeah, of course, the comedy and the live music scene here is just phenomenal. Like, so if that's something you
Yeah,
enjoy, then definitely come down, even for a
yeah,
visit.
I yeah, I mean, if I do visit, like, I want to make sure I'm getting my money's worth, so I probably would be there for at least a month. Uh, I feel like that's the right amount of time to fully take in a new place.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I'd be selling myself short if I only went for a week or two.
Absolutely.
Um, but yeah, that's so cool. Um, but yeah, so what are some? I'm interested because you're Australian and you seem to be pretty in touch with the Melbourne scene. What are some other like smaller acts that you like? If you have
Okay,
any.
sure. This is putting me on the spot because there's so many. Like, there's so many.
That's fair.
But one of my favorites of the past year or two has been Slowly Slowly. Um, and they have a bit of a cult following in Melbourne as well. But they're basically this four-piece kind of. This is a bit different from Giz as well, and a bit different from everything. But
Yeah,
they're sort
yeah.
of like this emo, like soft kind of punk band. And I guess one of the things I've been really embracing in the past few years is just not being like, just being open to any music, if that makes sense. Not dismissing something
Yeah.
because it's like, not because it's too poppy or it's too like, it's too one thing or another thing, that's that it gets boxed in by. But then I guess being open to like different types of music that people might find, I guess, cringe or something like that. Because there's a bit of a stigma around like, the really poppy music or like pop punk or like that
Yeah.
really, I guess it's like it's coming up at the moment, but it's like the SoundCloud rappers and all that. I guess it's like just breaking
Mhm.
down that stigma and going, oh yeah, when it comes down to it, I'm actually open to this. I'm actually, so I listen to Post Malone, I listen to Halsey, all those, I listen to Taylor Swift, all those really pop artists. And once you get past the stigma of them, or like not stigma, but like, oh,
Mhm.
they're so poppy, whatever. Um,
Yeah.
it's like I actually really enjoy them. So I guess the reason I mentioned that is because Slowly Slowly they kind of have they kind of evoke that pop punk, vibes about them. on like a first listen. But then you dive a bit deeper, and there's actually more going on beneath the surface. So that's one thing I really like about them. Um,
That's super cool. That band's called Slowly
yeah, that's
Slowly.
it. That's it. I really like them.
Cool.
Um,
Yeah,
their fans go. Oh yeah, sorry,
that's
you go.
no. Please, you talk. I
Oh
talk enough already.
yeah. So yeah, their fans have a bit of a cult following, which is quite funny. If you ever come across, if you ever end up seeing them, their fans will be, they're really huge fans. Will be front row, like, and I don't know if you do. Well, of course you would. Like moshing and stuff. Like the moshes are quite crazy as well. But that's really
Yeah,
fun. I
yeah.
also another band I really like is the Smith Street Band. I would have seen them like there was a year, like a period of 12 months where I saw them like 10 times or something silly like that. And they're sort of like the more garage kind of rock band as well. Very, very Australian.
Yeah. God, that's so cool. Have you ever traveled to the
I
United
have
States?
once when I was like 14, I think. Yeah. So
Oh, okay.
ages ago, but
Yeah.
we were actually in Arizona for a week, and that was
Oh, I love it there.
it's so beautiful. Like that was just such
Yeah.
a different experience because you have like the Australian desert, but then you have the American desert, and it's red, like it's and there's cacti and there's this is gonna sound so yeah, this probably sounds so stupid and obvious, but like just even the landscape is just so different. Even though the culture is quite similar, Australia to America, like the just yeah the land this the whole atmosphere there was so beautiful.
Yeah, well, I mean, it that's not stupid at all. I think I think desert areas are really underrated. Like they're some of the most beautiful and like most peaceful places. And it's funny that you that you refer to Arizona as the American desert because we have so many different deserts here. Like I live in the Mojave Desert, which is quite different from the Sonoran Desert, which is where Arizona is, um, and then there are other deserts like in Oregon and Washington uh, that don't even have cacti or anything. And then you got Colorado, which is technically a desert as well. It's really fascinating. Like I think a lot of people don't realize how far deserts
That's
reach.
it. That's it.
Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, but yeah, I mean it's yeah, I love living in the desert. It's it's definitely an experience. And I don't know. I think it's for me long term.
That's
But
great.
yeah. But before I let you go, I just wanted to see like so you said Polygon Wonderland's your would you say Polygon Wonderland's
It's
your
one of my
favorite?
favorites. Yeah, it's always hard to choose. I the one that really
Okay.
has its hooks in me, I guess, is Murder of the Universe. And it cops a lot
Yeah.
of flack for being very repetitive in the first sort of third or so, or the first half. But I just one of the things I really love about Gears is just that imagery of like so and
Hmm.
I think Murder of the Universe does that really well. Whereas there's there's the narration that really makes you focus on that imagery and you have the altered beast section, which is very like it is repetitive, but that's what they were going for. And yeah, I
Yeah.
love that idea of being consumed by the beast. I just thought that's really interesting. And then it's divided into three sections, right? And then the second section's all about the Lord of
Yeah.
Lightning. And that's one of my favorite songs to hear live. And I remember just when it
Oh
came
yeah.
out, the first few times they played it live, it was like everyone was absolutely losing their minds for it um because it's just so it's just so not not provocative. What's the word? Like it's just so gripping, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because it mixes all the elements of like fantasy and just like sort of catchy music, and then they just jam out to like this garage psych you know.
And that's, you know what, you've hit the nail on the
Interlude.
head. It's because I'm a huge fantasy fan as well. I think that's probably what sort of draws me towards it. But then it's that, yeah, it's that psych rock sort of element. Um,
Yeah, well, and then that also makes sense why you like Polygon Wonderland so much, because I think like that fantasy, uh, like the storytelling and that just really like it
that's
blows my
it.
mind.
That's it. But then,
Um,
you know,
yeah,
I also love fishing for fishies. It's a bit lighter and it's fun.
yeah, but it's but again, fishing for fishies is also kind of
It
a
is.
story,
It is.
like it just progresses that way. Yeah, it's just an incredible album.
That's
Um,
it. And you know, I could get into how it's all tied together and like the Gizverse and all this, but yeah, I like enjoying them.
yeah,
All the albums as um, their own little sphere of ideas and concepts and musical differences, I guess. But yeah, so they're probably
yeah.
my it's just hard to decide on a favorite. I usually do say Murder of the Universe.
Okay. Well, I mean, I was actually that wasn't even the
Oh,
full
sorry,
question.
sorry.
I no, it's okay. That was a really fun that was a fun tangent. Um, and yeah, but like I was just wondering, what sort of direction do you think you want to see the band go in, or what are you sort of hoping or expecting to see with their next album or
I
two?
think the thing about Gears is like you just have to get rid of any expectations. Because you just never know what they're going to release, you know, and you see all this speculation or I hear all this speculation online of like, oh, then they should do this type of album or they should do this type of album. And I'm just like, I'm going to listen to it no matter what. Like, that's the thing. I guess
Yeah.
in my dream scenario, I don't know. I honestly, it's a hard question. It's a hard question. Um,
Yeah,
what about?
that's
I'll put the
okay.
question back on you. What would you like? What direction would you like to see them go?
Yeah, that is a really hard question. Um, I like there has been talk about Flying Microtonal Banana
Oh
Volume
yeah,
2. Um, and I mean that's like I would love to hear some more microtonal songs. Like I've heard Stu say that they have written a few, um, and I think that was a few months ago. So I'm definitely excited to hear whatever they have in the way of microtonal songs. Just because I loved that, like I love that trance that Flying Microtonal Banana Volume 1 just puts me in. Like, I mean, it's just such a like it's great driving music, and it just keeps me focused on the road.
absolutely. That's it.
Like I feel less inclined to check my phone for texts when I'm taking long drives and
That's
listening
it.
to
Because
that album.
you're
So
absolutely right. It does put you in a trance. And the thing about it is, you can listen to it in the background and still have that sort of like atmosphere of like the microtonal atmosphere going. But then you can really actively listen to it and get into all the little musical intricacies that are going on.
yeah. So do you have much of a music background
Barely
yourself?
any, I would say. Pretty much none. Yeah, yeah.
Really? Because you really know, or like you sound like you know what you're
Really?
talking about.
I guess I'm just a massive
Yeah.
music fan, to be honest. And that's
Okay.
another thing I love about Gears is like when they released Flying Microtonal Banana, I learned, oh, this is what a microtone is. That's cool. And then when they released Polygon Gondwanaland, I was like, oh, there's like these time signatures, which I, as a casual listener, would have never picked up. But like now I hear them, and I'm like, oh, that's actually expanding my knowledge of just music in general. But no, I don't have any musical background really. Yeah.
Well, background or none, you've been an absolute pleasure to talk to, and yeah, I hope we're able to
Yeah,
meet
that'd
at a
be
show one
awesome.
day.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, John. I'm sorry about my random ramblings. I hope they kind of they sort of had no direction sometimes. I kind of had an idea of where I wanted to go with my, I don't know. But yeah, no, that was a blast. Thank you so much. And good luck with the rest of the show.
This is so much. Thank you so much. This was so much fun. You didn't ramble any more than I did.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, well, have a great day, and I'm
Oh,
gonna go to sleep
sweet.
soon. So,
Sweet. Thank you so much, John. Have a good
all right,
one. Cheers.
yeah, definitely.
Bye.